Just briefly, talking about Domaine Meriweather.
Yeah. So,
I'm curious, like, do you have just a timeline of like when you're looking to like bring out a
if you asked Andrew, he'd say not soon enough.
right?
So, little backstory on Domaine Meriweather. Jack Baghdad and a couple friends got together. I believe it was in kind of the early '90s, and they made an unbelievable sparkling wine. This community wasn't ready for it. It had been served in the White House. Domaine Meriweather is a tribute to Meriwether Lewis, right? So it's got this great homage to Oregon. And the label is a design where it's a blanket that Sacagawea had given Meriwether Lewis. And there's a coin, actually, that they had to get permission from the White House to use, that Jefferson commissioned a coin for the Lewis and Clark expedition. And so it's on the back necker of the label. And then there's also a quote on the back that says, "Oh, the joy," which is what Meriwether Lewis said when he saw the Pacific Ocean for the first time. So Andrew introduced me to Jack Baghdad, who, the project just didn't work because it was too early. So I had a conversation with Jack, and we ended up buying all the intellectual property of Domaine Meriweather. The idea is that we're going to make, Lytle Barnett is a vintage sparkling project, whereas Domaine Meriweather is going to be a non-vintage sparkling project.
Right.
And we don't have a UPC on Lytle Barnett. We'll probably put one on Domaine Meriweather, probably a bigger project, maybe 10 to 15,000 cases. So with that on timing, to answer your question, is Andrew wants to do it tomorrow, because what that means is we have to build a sparkling facility, which we're in conversations about right now. And it has to be big enough to be able to make 15 or 20,000 cases.
Right.
So it's a fairly large project. So it's a little of the cart and the horse. We know we're going to do it.
Right.
We know Windfall and Anahata, as well as Anthony, has bought some property in the Willamette Hills as well, that is going to allow us the fruit source that we need to have. But first, we need a place to do it. Going back to Winters Hill, we love those people. It's been a great blessing to be there.
Right.
But Domaine Meriweather would be too big for that project, so
Right.
it has to be done somewhere else.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's maybe 10 or 15 years.
Less
Maybe.
than that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very much
Again,
looking forward to
I'm
it.
on the clock, right?
I know. I know.
I only have so many years left. So
Right.
again, that's the thing we look back on. To think that we're in our 9th vintage of Lytle Barnett, and we started that back in 13, or that we planted Anahata in 15, or that we bought the Anahata property and planted it and did all that work in 13 and 14. I mean, that's 9 years ago.
Right.
I mean,
And it just poof.
it's poof. Where did the time go?
Right.
And to think that we'd already be going into our 3rd vintage of still wine with Aubaine, it's just amazing to think about. So it's funny. Domaine Meriweather seems like a long ways away, but it's going to be around the corner as soon as we know it. So
I have
10
no
to
doubts.
15 years probably isn't the number. A little less.
Well, that's good.